We'll keep it cool. All right, so we're going to begin. It is about 1:05. Josh is going to introduce me and us, and then we'll get going.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, you have the reverb on here.
I don't get reverb on mine.
Well, you have some.
I'll turn it down.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society here on Elm Hill in the northeastern side of Manchester. It's great to see you all here on what is really a beautiful, stunningly beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Honest Conversations, sponsored by the Connecticut Connecticut. There's a lot of seats. Connecticut Council for Interreligious Understanding and Hartford Seminary and the Muslim Coalition of Connecticut. This is, I want to introduce Terry Schmidt, who is not a stranger to most of you. Terry is, we know you as the former minister of the Center Congregational Church in Manchester, where our congregation lived for 10 months while we were building the building that you all are sitting in. I'm not going to say any more. I wanted to say welcome, and I'm going to hand the mic over to Terry, who can introduce our panel.
Thank you. This reverb thing is a little intriguing to me. It sounds like we're in a big, huge stage, which we're not. Intriguingly enough, in terms of by way of introductions, I mean, it does feel as if we're among friends. I do know a lot of you. We have Carol Fay and Diana Hossein here who are assisting with the questions. I'll explain that in a second. But you might not know Diana, but you know Diana's husband, Anwar, because he's the architect who designed this place. He's here as well. So this is like old friends gathering in so many ways. So you have biographical sheets in front of you. You have a number of things in front of you, but one of the things are your bio sheets of all of our panelists. You don't know who is who, except one of them should be usually easy to figure out. But just to make it clear, Ahmet on the far end, Shadra in the middle, and Isam here. Farah, oh that's right, Farah, sorry Farah. Farah in the middle and Isam on the close end, and you can match up their bios. We want, the reason we hand out the bio sheets is to maximize the time that we have for your questions. Rather than spending a lot of time introducing people, wonderful things about each one of them, and that's why the bio sheets are there. The way that we do honest conversations, and we've done this in almost 40 places across our state now, is we have cards that you get to write out your questions. So you have cards in front of you, multicolored cards on the table, and there should be pens available for you as well. And if you would write out your question, and since there are extra cards on the table, we would ask you to write out one question per card, no more than one question per card. And we will have some people, I haven't volunteered them yet, but we will have some volunteers going around and picking them up. All you have to do once you write out your question is raise your hand with your card and someone will come and pick it up for you. That way, we maximize the amount of time that these folks are answering, and there's a lot of other reasons why we use this card system, but it works out very, very well. For one thing, it means that you don't have to be embarrassed about what you're asking. For another thing, you can ask really hard questions. Again, you don't have to feel embarrassed about it. We do not mind. In fact, we really appreciate having hard questions asked of our neighbors because we do have answers for many of those, and they don't get asked all the time. I doubt this is a problem in this environment, but I say it all the time anyway. We are really happy to get hard questions. We aren't especially happy to get hate-filled questions. And I suspect that that's not likely to happen with this environment. But it's important to say because there have been places where we have gotten hate-filled questions. And we have been targeted, I would say. But these are your neighbors, and they will answer your questions with one caveat. And this is a caveat for me. The clearer you write the question, the more likely we'll use it so I can read it. And that's just the one thing. Now, I start off with a question. I've got a question for them first. And I start off with one. While I'm doing this question, they're all three going to answer it. The first one, you should be thinking of your questions and writing them down and raising your hand. You're going to, okay, Anwar will be the volunteer. He likes traveling around in his space anyway. All right, so the question that I have for you panelists, Ramadan just ended. It's a month of special behaviors in Islam. It is one of the pillars of Islam. But I bet most folks don't know a lot about it, and you do. So tell me one thing, if you can, or would, one thing either you really love about Ramadan, or that you would really like to make sure other people knew. If there was one thing someone like me or someone like Josh, that you wanted to make sure we knew, what would it be about Ramadan? So, Isam, I know. Go. You're trying to be kind. It should be on.
Ramadan is the holy month of the Muslim calendar when we fast from dawn to dusk. We fast all day. We stop no food or drink all day long. And we do this, I do this for opportunity to liberate myself of all the things that will hold me down and get me closer to God and maintain a new relationship between me and God by giving away for a long period of time all the things will keep me busy growing spiritually. So this is the thing I would like everyone to know about Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes,
So I'm greeting you, welcoming you with a peaceful greeting. What I would like to share with you about Ramadan is, as Sam just explained, that we abstain from food and drinks starting from dawn to sunset. That is one part that you guys know. But we don't, God doesn't need us to fast, stay away from food and drinks. This is a month for us to work on spirituality and be God conscious and stay away from the gossip, the lies, the tricking each other, the human characteristics that come over sometimes. It's a month for us to build our character, to utilize these qualities of being a good human and be empathetic to those who have less than us for the rest of the 11 months. So please don't feel bad for us when we are staying away from food or drink. Just send us a prayer that we cultivate the qualities for which we are doing that. Thank you.
First of all, thanks for hosting this. I myself lived in Manchester many years. I studied in Manchester Community College. Both my kids very near and dear to this town. So Ramadan is interesting. According to the statistics, crimes goes down by half in the Muslim majority countries during Ramadan. So it is very dramatic, spiritually uplifting experience. One of the reasons is food is one of the most distracted subject matter in our life. So when we put the food aside, we can think clearly. And one of the most dangerous part is feeling that you are self-sufficient regularly. But when you stop eating and drinking, that's where I am. I feel I'm more connected with the Creator, and feel my position where I am supposed to be. So it is very indeed very nice, very good experience. We are very thankful for it, and looking forward to get better and explain it also. People feel it that we are suffering, but that's exact opposite.
All right, so we have a couple of questions here, and I've got one question that's for all three. So each one of you gets to answer this in your own way. And we'll start with you and go back this way this time. So outside of these forums, have you ever been harassed or targeted because of your faith? And when that happened, how did that resolve? How did it come out? Have you ever been targeted?
Yes, I don't keep track of how many times. Not too many times, definitely, but it did happen. So usually most of the incidents is not recorded. We are not recording it because we don't want to be part of the problem. In one instance, I wanted to report it, but my wife said, "Don't do it because something might happen." So this is, I would say, 60% of the time we try to be quiet, try to observe the shock. But relatively speaking, here is much better than Europe. So that's always what I tell my people. Yes, we do have some unusual Americans, but most Americans are very open-minded, very welcoming, good neighbors. And compared to Europe, it is very, very, very better.
Yeah. If I was to take it off that top of my head to what I call harassment, I have to say that thankfully, I am surrounded by a bunch of people that I can say that nothing strikes out like real harassment towards me as a Muslim. But then I also have to keep in mind the way I dress. I don't observe hijab, that you see the three ladies here. So I blend in other than my color. So unless I'm wearing a hijab, the people that I interact on a daily basis, unless they know me for a while, they will know I'm a Muslim, but they don't right away recognize me as a Muslim. Have I experienced people saying hateful speech towards Muslims? Yes, I have. And I chose to not be confrontational with them, and I let them speak their mind and move on. Because I don't think so I can change their thought processes or their hate with 1, 5, or 10 minutes encounter. I would like to meet them again and see if a discussion can encounter. So I have to say, yes, I'm very thankful to God that I have not experienced blatant hate towards myself or my family in a way that I can call hateful impacts. I've been blessed. America has been very friendly, very nice. Thank you.
As a person who works in politics, I traveled all over the country, from California to Midwest to the East Coast, everywhere. And I have experienced few incidents wherever I go. I remember two of them. The first one was very personal, and I was in transaction with someone in the Midwest area, and I was trying to purchase a car, and he thought I was Italian for some reason. But we get to chat, and I was Egyptian. So his first question was like, "Oh, so are you Muslim?" I was like, "Yes, I am." And the whole situation, his attitude changed 100%, and he started taking very hard measurements and be more careful and all of those things, and made the situation way harder and actually started attacking me for no reason at all. That was the first incident, or one of the incidents, the individual one. The general one, after the travel ban incident happened, and things was a little bit difficult. But in both situations, and I will echo my friends here. For the same situation, I was so blessed with the reaction that I've got from my neighbors in different faiths, and my friends, my neighbors' friends and colleagues. Every base of those, I was so blessed with the support I've gained. But when some people I'm coming from a Muslim background, they change their attitude. But at the same time, also realizing how amazing, wonderful people out there.
Terry, the echo is still a problem. Some people.
The echo is a big problem.
Terry, I'll get some other mics. I think it's something that your system interacting with this system.
Yeah, I think it is. Okay, because this one, I will say, Josh, we've used this system in a lot of places. We've never had echoes before, so.
Hold the mic further away,
I don't, well, it might, but I still hear echoing stuff. So we'll try some other mics. All right, while Josh is fooling around with the mics, if you do have questions, raise your hand. Raise them up, and we'll pick up your cards. Because everybody, we were worried that people were writing down their questions and not raising their hands with them. So we picked up a few. I'm going to shout for a while. How's that? Okay. Farah, what is the most frequent misconception people have about Muslim women in the United States? You mean some?
This is an interesting one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's in the United States, not worldwide, just here. What's the biggest misconceptions that people have about women?
I think media plays a big role in creating that misconception, and I think most of the Americans have a misconception that Muslim women are bound up in hijab and bound to their houses and not allowed to go out. They're not allowed to talk, walk, interact with anybody. And I'll give you an example, and I found out quite late in that process. I did an interfaith event in Middletown, and I actually, somebody from there is sitting there. And the first time I did it, of course, there was a lot of interest regarding Islam. I went there second and third time, and by the third time, the host was able to tell me that she got an email back from an attendee who had said that, admitted to be a racist, that he said in his email that he never knew that a Muslim woman could be a physician, could work outside of the house, and could come and talk. And Wendy very generously told me that he also said that he has to work on himself to reconnect these, or reframe these misconceptions about Muslim women. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that we are oppressed, or if somebody is wearing a hijab, that is because somebody is forcing them to do that. One of the things that we want you to know as me as Muslim woman, I would like to be known about because of my brain or my intellect. I do not want to be known about my beauty or my physique, or I don't want anybody to comment on those. Those are not signs of pride for a Muslim Asian woman. I would like rather to be known for what I do and how I impact on the people around me. I think that is one.
Wow. Ahmed, a question for you. If I attend a public service at a mosque, what would I experience?
So if you attend and you should attend definitely. It is why it is good for us, for American Muslims, to integrate, to feel that we are being accepted as we are, and some people do come by. It is all open to public every Friday, noon time. We can come any Friday. We can sit in the back, observe the service. My understanding, I was at the Christian service this morning. One of my friends was retiring. So compared to the Christian service, I think our service is quite plain, simple, straightforward. No music, no singing. It's just sermon, prayer, and people mingle after that. What's going on? It's just
Okay.
Can I give the female perspective?
Yeah, because I use that mic because I cut off all these on mics.
So, that is one of the misconceptions that we are not allowed to go to the mosques, and that's why I wanted to take that into consideration and tell you the female perspective. I usually take Fridays off from my work to be able to make sure that I attend the Berlin Mosque Friday congregation every Friday. What you will experience is a time of spiritual uplifting. There's usually a topic that the imam, we call the leader of at that point, whoever leads the prayer or the sermon, imam. And it can be any learned person in the community. It doesn't have to be the same appointed personality from the mosque. They will give you an uplifting sermon, and then it is followed by a prayer, which is probably 5 or 10 minutes at the max. It's a big social event also after the fact. Once you're done with the sermon and once you're done with the prayer, we do mingle each other. You do find out about, okay, how are your children? How is your family? How is the parents? It's an interaction. And we women look forward to it, to meet new people, to know what exactly is going on in the community, and to see other women like ourselves.
All right. So both women and men would be welcome at, say, the Berlin Mosque as an example.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, okay. All right, so now we have a couple questions about marginal, what I would call marginal groups, that's my word. Farah, this one we're asking you. How are atheists treated in Islamic countries? And I want to preface that this is a Unitarian Universalist congregation. They're not Christians necessarily. They could be anything. So there are atheists that are members of this congregation. There are Christians that are members of this congregation. There are Buddhists that are members of this congregation. There are Baha'is that are members of this congregation. So this isn't Ahmed, like the congregation you went to this morning, where basically everybody was a Christian. Here, this Unitarian place welcomes all sorts of people, and including atheists. So the question: how are atheists treated in Islamic countries? Not in necessarily in mosques, but in countries.
So I am from Turkey. I think they fairly treated, in a way, accepted, but not really welcomed. They recognize them, but so first of all, it is not as spread as common as here. Being denying that, I would say less than 10%, definitely. So it is very unusual. Those who professors, So it is not common in the society. This is not an issue. There is no tension, such problem. But after this internet area where people can spread their videos online, so people start to expose some unusual views. So it is changing. So overall, it is tougher than here, definitely. That's for sure. But it is not as big problem as it seems, I would say. But when something broke up, you see on the news, so you feel that everything is falling apart. So that I think that's what's the issue. Always in the media, I like to say, if you don't mind. So if dog bites a man, this is not a news. But if man bites a dog, that's the first front page news. So this is what we are seeing in the news. Like, whoa, how they treat these guys? How come? This happens 1 in a million, some extreme cases. So society just functions well. Overall, it is good. So just to keep my mental sanity, I don't have a TV at home. I just.
All right, Isam, I'm gonna ask you. Oh yeah, no, Fred, go ahead.
So, I want to take a different take on this. According to religion, there is no submission without your own submission. You cannot be forced to believe anything. So that is the basic principle that I think a lot of Muslim countries have veered away from. So historically speaking, if you were an atheist, or you were a disbeliever, or you were any religion, you should not have been forced to believe in whatever the majority believed in. That was your right living in any Islamic country. And if you go back in history and look at the history of Spain and Europe and all these places where Muslims ruled, nobody was ever forced to go and believe in what Muslims believed in. I come from a region where Hindus and Muslims lived together for the longest period of time without any Hindu being forced to become a Muslim. Right? So having said that, religiously speaking, if you are an atheist, or you're agnostic, or you are a, whatever you want to call it, you should be fine and have full rights as you should. Now, the way our Islamic countries are now, that is because of ignorance. And we're not proud of that. And whatever Ahmed explained, that is out of ignorance if that 1 in a million thing would happen.
Excellent. No, you're gonna get a tough one. We want to get a lot of questions in here. So, this is pushing it a little bit further. So the pretext for this question is that the U.S. culture wars divide many denominations and faiths into groups. And some of them behave well towards subgroups and others do not. So how does the U.S. culture war show up in American Muslim communities? And here's the specifics. For example, how safe is it to be a gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender in Muslim communities in the U.S.? Yeah, that's your question. I told you, that was a little bit tougher. Although anybody can answer that as well, but you give it the first shot.
So that was we'll take the same point I wanted to add. So that we have to understand the difference between religion and culture and anything else. That's it. We have to understand that. With atheists, with LGBTQ, with anyone, we really need to understand the difference between those. In our religion, I would not rely that much on ignorance as much as I would rely on political corruption, because our rulers, aka dictators, will do anything to oppress our people using religion, using politics, using whatever. And to answer this specific question, the Quran is very clear about the main principle of Islam, the very first main principle. And Quran says, وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Who might want to believe or might not believe, it's absolutely up to you. So there is no force, there is nothing. It's absolutely up to you. But of course, because our rulers right now in the Middle East would love to gain more political power and capital, they will use their religion. They will do anything, and it's like, oh, this is because of the religion. No, it's not. It's not. It's not the religion. For the LGBT, right now, and the second thing is Islam does not allow actually forbids us from judgment anyone. So we hear a lot of denominations will not allow LGBT community to attend the church or whatever. That's not allowed in the Islam faith. You cannot forbid anyone from attending the mosque or not using any religion materials because of sexuality, sexual orientation, or because of beliefs. It's forbidden in Islam. Everyone is welcome. No one is allowed to judge. It's all based on culture. We saw this in the situation in Brunei, for example. Now, the LGBT community is different than Egypt, for example. The situation from women in Saudi Arabia is different from Turkey. those all are Muslim communities, but it's the line here is the rulers trying to divide people and oppress them more using religion, which is not true. So to answer this question, I will encourage and beg all of you to see the distinction between religion and everything comes after that.
Okay, Ahmed, you want to add on to that?
Sure, I totally agree, but at the same time, is it safe? It is not safe. Why? Because we are, as an American Muslim, still integrating. This is processing. It will take 20, 40, 60 years to understand where we are, how can we blend it together, our faith, and the culture that we are integrating. So this is the subject we discussed 2 days ago at the mosque. So we are not ready yet to really know what's going on. We don't really confront with the issues as much as I'd like to see it. So, but it is in progress. We are still having discussions behind the doors, not open to public. So it will take some time, and I appreciate if you be patient and not judge everybody.
Interesting, okay. Yeah, Sarah?
So I'm going to have a different take on this. Yeah, that's why we're here.
That's right.
So I want to go back to the scripture. The scripture is very clear. There is no prohibition on the thought of homosexuality or LGBT, right? But the act is forbidden in Islam. Islam recognizes marriage between a man and a woman, right? But Islam also recognizes the rights of anybody that are granted by the government. As Muslims, we are to obey the laws of the country that we live in, no matter what. I want to make sure that is clear. We, as Muslims, are obliged and required to follow the laws and obey the laws of the country that we live in. Muslims are all for rights. It's a social justice system. So if the rights of LGBT community are given to them in the United States of America, we are all for those rights. So let me put it this way. A Muslim can definitely be an LGBT, but does homosexuality has a room, like from the scripture, that I can say, oh yeah, no, that is not the case. So have we seen Muslims who are gay? Yes, we have. Are their rights awarded to them according to this country? We are all for those. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the media myths is that Islam is this monolithic thing with one idea. Now, we've just had 3 ideas here. So we should be responding to the media in that way. All right, Isam and Farah, this is an interesting question. My understanding is that if a woman is a trained imam,